listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, a podcast for today's insurance agents. Informing, educating, empowering, improving the way you do business in an industry that's anything but static. In today's episode, over the course of this past year, I have had the privilege of speaking to a lot of really smart and really interesting people. For those that are in the insurance industry, the questions are fairly similar, but the conversation goes where it goes. For today's episode, I've pulled out the answers to one of my favorite questions to ask. What advice would you give to someone just starting out? The answers I get to this question vary, but they all contain gems that have inspired me, so I wanted to showcase them again here. We'll start out with Christian Brindle from his episode, Leveling Up from Chill Mode to Growth Mode.
Yeah, no, I love the question. And I think there's really three pillars that you have to nail if you want to make it, right? When you're coming in as a new agent, especially today in 2025, I think it's a unique time, I think, that we're in right now. In some ways, it's easier than ever. We have more tools at our disposal than ever. And then in other ways, it's more difficult than ever. And so I think you have to play by the rules of the current day and age of 2025. So I think for me, my three things I would really focus on is number one, and I don't think this has ever changed, you want to be a sponge as much as you can, right? Like, I feel like the people that come in that make it, they have a genuine curiosity about the space, about Medicare, about the plans, about the carriers. Like, they just want to learn. They want to soak this stuff up. And they come in genuinely as a blank slate. I know you guys have worked with tons of agents over the years. One thing I find that is the biggest killer of agents is they're not trying to be as much of a sponge, and more so like they're trying to find simple answers to the standpoint they're like, oh, it's this. Like it's almost like a little bit of an ego thing, like, I know this, I'm smart, I know this. It's like, no, this is a wacky world of, when it comes to Medicare, like anything you think, just throw it out, because like when it comes to the way normal life works or logic or anything like that, like there's all these little things that you need to learn.
Right.
And you just need to understand that you're not going to come in and learn it overnight. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take a lot of studying and being a sponge, soaking in that information. So I think that's number one. I think number two, when you first come in, there's so many agents that don't understand. To me, this is a people business, so you can spend all kinds of time doing all these little things in your business, right? Like getting your business card, figuring out your logo, getting your website set up, creating a Facebook page, whatever you're trying to do. And you still haven't spoken to anyone. You still haven't talked to anyone. It's a contact sport. And so your success is going to be measured based on how many people you have conversations with,
right?
So I think you have to understand that, right? Like when I say earlier, like you have to be a sponge, that's true, but you don't want to sit all day on trainings either. Like, you want to balance it out, right? Like you want to make sure that you're spending your time that you'd be listening to, I don't know, like instead of listening to Joe Rogan, maybe you can listen to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, right? And learn, that way. So like, what are you putting into your mind in terms of that? And then I think the third thing is coming in with a real good understanding of, in this business, every piece of business you're going to acquire, any applications you're going to be able to write, any clients you're going to be able to obtain are going to cost you either time or money. And formulating a strategy based off of what you have more to give. Usually when you first come in, you have more time to give than you have money. So you formulate a marketing attack. You formulate a strategy based off of, how can I spend my time to acquire new business? How can I ground and pound a little bit? How can I do some grassroots marketing? How can I network with other businesses, other professionals, gain referral relationships? And then as time goes on and you start to acquire more clients, you have more money coming in, your business is more established, you're busier, and you have less time to give, but more money. Well, that's when it's probably time to spend a little bit more on leads and on marketing and on advertising and seminars, whatever it is you're doing to grow your business. And that's how you can really take your business, I feel like, to the next level. So those would be probably my three things for new agents. There's certainly more than that. We could probably have a whole podcast about that alone, but I think those things are really important. And there are things I see when agents don't get them right, they fail over and over and over again.
Up next, Roy Snarr and Building the Foundation for Success.
So here's what I would do. I would first find out what their passion is, because some people absolutely love healthcare. They love Medicare, under 65 health insurance. And that's awesome. That's a huge need. You can become very successful in that marketplace. Or maybe they're more of the life insurance, final expense, mortgage protection. So let's say that they're more the life insurance side of things. I would first, if I was starting over again, and what we tell all of the agents that we work with, you have to have a foundation of insurance, get some general basics, and also learn the language of insurance and how to overcome objections, how to handle your confidence being beat up all the time. It's much less expensive and easier to start off with final expense or mortgage protection life insurance. Get a small foundation there, right? Get your skin tough, learn some ins and outs, get the basics of how insurance works and asset protection. And then from that point, slowly progress yourself up into getting into the annuity space, because to achieve true financial freedom, the fastest way to do it is to become an annuity expert, because there's lots of opportunities there. We have a huge demographic wave that's in our favor for annuities, which is the senior marketplace. But in order to get in front of seniors, right, you're not going to be buying mortgage protection or final expense per se. Now, final expense is generally targeted to the older folks, but it's also lower income with lower assets, which is not ideal for the annuity or asset-based LTC space.
Right.
But if you do workshops, if I could do anything, if I could change anything about my past, it would be to do more workshops. I did not start doing seminars until about 5 years ago. And if I would have done them sooner, we would have been even further ahead, because that is the number one way to get in front of people and to meet with people and to have instant credibility and leverage. And when those people meet with you, they want to meet with you, because our workshop program, we don't buy dinners. We do it at libraries and community colleges. And then you pick a topic such as Social Security or Medicare. Those are the top two drawing topics out there. And it does require the agent to actually have some foundation, some fundamentals about Social Security and about Medicare, but just take the time, study it. I mean, with YouTube University, it doesn't take that much time. And then you can host your own workshop. And then when they come in, you help them with Social Security, Medicare planning. And then you say, oh, hey, by the way, these are some things that these governmental systems don't cover, which is long-term care and lifetime income. And now you're opening the door up to annuities instead of just going straight to somebody saying, hey, you want to buy an annuity? Yeah, that's probably not going to work that well.
Right. We don't have, annuity dealerships out there that we like going to buy a car or anything like that. But what I like that you pointed out here, and I think that this is something that when I see videos or anything on YouTube with a lot of the podcasts or literature that's out there for some of the agents that are just starting out, I see a lot of there's a monetary value, get this much in like this amount of time. I love that you are being realistic and saying, there is a path that you grow in this. You don't just start out at this high level here. It is, start out, get your feet wet, start with this, get your education here, and then work your way up to this point where you're able to get into these conversations. You need to build up that foundation of like the relationship before you get into that conversation, and the trust for someone to be able to hand you that amount of money, because it is something that they're saving to be able to have for retirement should they need it in the future, anything like that. That's a big ask. And you do need to develop that relationship in order to get that trust and to be able to have somebody say, okay, I trust you with my nest egg. So,
exactly. It's the difference between a transactional sale and a relationship sale, because take Medicare, for example. Let's be real. You're not selling Medicare. You're helping people make a choice that they have to make. You're helping them enroll into a Medicare. And same thing with final expense or mortgage protection. It's generally a transaction sale. Hey, look, you have X amount of mortgage. You need X amount of life insurance. It takes X amount of premium. Thank you. See you later, right? Whereas with an annuity, it takes multiple meetings, relationships. It takes an enormous amount of education in order to be able to explain the value of these types of plans. And so it's a much longer sales curve that requires a relationship building. And one of the biggest things that we trade on is storytelling. You need to develop your own story, your why you do this business, right? Now, I don't need to sit down and share my entire life story with someone and talk about all these different analogies and metaphors if I'm just helping them with a $50 a month final expense plan. That's not really time worthy. But if I'm going to be helping somebody reposition a portion of their entire life savings and they just met me and it's into a concept that they're unaware of, it's going to take some time and foundation. And this is where the storytelling comes in and the relationship building with the client. Like our average client that comes to see us, it takes about 2 to 3 months before we're able to actually put a plan together for them and implement it, because it takes time. And a lot of agents are short-sighted. And to your point, on YouTube or Instagram, you get all these yahoos on there like, oh, I just got my license and I made 6 figures in 3 weeks. Okay, sure, because your dad gave you money. But if you're like those people in the real world, like it took me over 5 years to hit 6 figures. Over 5 years. Like, maybe I'm a slow starter, but it was just hard for me. And then I didn't even hit the multi-7-figure mark until like 10 years into the practice. I mean, I share that because agents are so short-sighted on how long it actually takes to build a foundation. I mean, there were times where I was literally sleeping in my truck. I would sit at Starbucks waiting for people to walk in and then have them give me their opinion on a marketing piece, which would be about life insurance. And if I got 10 people that would look at it, one of those 10 would be like, how does this work? I get a lead. I get 10 of those. I could maybe get a sale. So it was very rough grassroots in the beginning, but I hung in. And what we tell agents is like, look, you don't have to be that smart to be in this business. Like, I'm not an engineer. I'm a college dropout, but I'm determined and I care about people. And I've learned how to share my story to relate to them. And I've become successful based on those factors. And any agent can do that. They just have to hang in there and give themselves a good 10-year window and be, consistent throughout those 10 years.
Right. This is something that you get into to build a career. I would not ever suggest that this is a job. That is kind of like the distinction.
It is a lifestyle.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
Now, that phone rings on Christmas morning and your kids are opening presents, but it's $1 million rollover, you're going to answer the phone. Like, it's just, it's a part of this business.
Right.
Now we'll hear from Michael Krantz on making your own luck.
Having more of an online presence, especially in terms of reviews, I wish that was something that I was asking for in the very beginning. I think we're all afraid of asking sometimes for a review because it may not be someone's norm to write a review. And of course, you're always worried about the negative review, okay? Which is probably why I was hesitant to ask for reviews, because you just don't know when that person's going to say something negative unbeknownst to you, even though you tried your hardest. It's just, you don't always jive with everyone in this industry. So that's where the concern was in the beginning. But even if you have a negative review, it's how you react to that review that people actually still appreciate the commentary, or how you handle a situation. I mean, nobody's perfect. No company is perfect. And people also become suspicious when you have 100 or 300 positive reviews. And where's the negative reviews? So I think negative reviews actually are a good thing because it shows that you're real.
Continuing on, we learned how to build intentional value from Neil Reich.
Yeah, I think that, so my 13 years at Humana, the first 3 years were in sales, as a sales representative. The other years were all in leadership. So anytime in that leadership role, speaking to someone new in the industry, the most important insight that I could share with them is you're going to get out of the business what you put into it. In 1999, in Tampa, Florida, we had a lot of disruption. There was only 4 plans in the market. That's how long ago I started in the business. There was only 4 plans. Today in Tampa, there's like 50. There was 4 plans in the market. 2 were exiting. So half the people in the market had to find a new plan. And at that time, like any agent that worked in Tampa market could have been the number 1 agent in the country, but I was the number 1 agent because I worked every day. It's just, like I said, it's like you're going to get out of the business what you put into it. And I think that our industry is an incredible industry. It gives all of us an opportunity to make a really good income and interact and learn from a lot of great people. And if you stay focused and if you work hard, you're going to accomplish whatever goals that you have, whatever it is you want to accomplish in the industry. If you have a really good work ethic and discipline, you'll accomplish those goals.
And then Scott Zimmerman talked about operating from a people-first mentality.
Going into it, I think I went in for the wrong reasons. 22 years old to make money. And yes, we're all working to make money. What I would tell somebody going into this business, I have a lot of young people reaching out. This is my 35th year I'm starting. And I get a lot of people reaching out to me, clients, kids, my own friends' kids, like they think, oh my gosh, you drive a nice car, you have a nice house. This is maybe their child should go into. But what changed my mind was not thinking about the money, thinking about realizing maybe a few years in, it's about helping out, doing the right thing for people. Our products are amazing, right? So it's just finding the right product, always doing the right thing, not about how much money I'm going to make or looking at the commission. Once I flipped that, that's when really almost everything changed. It's like, how can I help? And when you get older, you get a little more experience, it gets a little easier. But yeah, I think in the beginning, it's all about telling everybody what I do and how can I make a sale. And then that kind of changed about 4 years into it, realizing that's not how it works.
Special thanks to Christian Brindle, Roy Snarr, Michael Krantz, Neil Reich, and Scott Zimmerman. We'll be linking to their full interview episodes in the notes, just in case you missed out on them the first time around. And if you'd like to be a guest on the Agent Survival Guide podcast, we would love to chat. Reach out via email, asgpodcast@ritterim.com, or on social media. All of our contact info is in the episode notes. Thanks so much for listening. We will see you next episode. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. Special thanks to our guests, Christian Brindle, Roy Snarr, Michael Krantz, Neil Reich, and Scott Zimmerman. This episode was recorded and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Podcast designed by Urban Rivera. Artwork by Tina Lamoureux.